Hey everybody! I have some great stories for you today, so sit back, relax, and let's get into it. My wife, 38 years old, and I, 39 years old, have been married for 12 years and have 3 kids, aged 11, 8, and 6. We live reasonably close to family on both our sides. Our house isn't huge by any means, but it's big enough for our family. However, no one else on my wife's side of the family lives in a house. Her siblings all either rent homes with roommates or live in apartments. Her parents downsized into a smaller townhome about 5 years ago. As a result, any time her family wants to get together for a holiday or special occasion, we are the ones who end up hosting. It's not even a discussion with her family anymore. Everyone just assumes that we are going to be the ones who host. We at least rotate major holidays between my family and hers. But my siblings and parents can also host gatherings, so hosting duties are spread out amongst all of us. But every Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, Easter, etc. that we spend with her family, we host, and her family are not the best guests. They will bring food if we ask, but any time there is cleanup or other help, they are nowhere to be found. I have expressed my dislike of this arrangement to my wife numerous times. She has insisted that I not say anything to her family about it, and to let her handle it. However, nothing has ever changed. We hosted Christmas for her family this year, and it was terrible. People showed up late, forgot the food they were supposed to bring. No one helped with cleaning. People let their kids make messes, etc. The same old story as every other time. After that, I told my wife I was done. I told her I don't want to host her family until someone else on her family steps up and hosts something, or we book some other venue and all chip in to pay for it. She promised to talk to her family about it and figure something out for the next holiday. For Easter this year, we were supposed to just have it be our family, no extended family. But a couple of weeks ago, my wife met up with her mom and sister for lunch. When she got home, she informed me that she talked to them about how hard hosting Christmas was. She said her mom and sister agreed that they would do better and offered to prove it to us on Easter, and my wife agreed. We got into a huge fight over it. I told my wife that she is on her own for this one. I told her I would be spending the entirety of Easter weekend with my family, and I'll take any kids with me that want to come. But I am not going to be helping with any of the hosting duties whatsoever. She thinks I am overreacting and that I need to give her family this final chance because her mom and sister seemed really sincere during their talk. I told her I don't care what they say. I'm not going to be involved at all because I won't be able to hold my tongue this time, and I don't want it to come to that. She is not happy with me at all, but I don't really care. To top it off, all 3 of our kids want to come spend the weekend with me instead of staying home. Look, I get it. Hosting can be a nightmare, especially when it feels like a one-sided affair. But here's the thing. Communication is key, and it sounds like there's a serious lack of it between you and your wife, and by extension, her family. It's understandable to feel fed up with the situation, but deciding to bail on Easter and take the kids with you, that's not just making a statement, it's escalating the situation to a whole new level of family drama. Yes, your wife should have stood firmer and not agreed to host again without a clear, actionable plan from her family. But by choosing to opt out entirely, you're not just avoiding the problem, you're creating a new one. It's time to sit down with your wife, have a real talk about boundaries and expectations, and present a united front to her family. Otherwise, this cycle is just going to keep repeating, and the resentment will only grow. Okay, we got to move on to the next post. My husband, daughter, 15, stepkids, 13, 16, and I just came back from a 2-week vacation. My daughter is very smart and is very good at a lot of things. She's also very competitive. My husband is also very competitive. My daughter started off this vacation by telling my husband there was Sudoku on the plane and explaining how to play. He didn't know that she's been playing Sudoku for months. She made a bet with him that if she finishes the hardest level first, he'd buy her Wi-Fi for the flight, and if he finished first, she'd share a bed with his younger daughter on the trip. His younger daughter was complaining about sharing with his oldest because she kicks and sleeps in the middle of the bed. She beat him and pestered him until he bought the Wi-Fi. When we got there, she'd challenge him to races on land and in the pool. She's won medals at state track meets and has been swimming since she was 2. Every day she'd challenge him to something win, and he'd have to buy her something from the resort or local shops. My husband was getting sick of losing, and my stepdaughters were upset that their dad was buying her stuff and not them, so I told my daughter she either couldn't compete with her stepdad or she had to let him win. She decided to tell her stepdad that she wasn't allowed to compete with him anymore because he couldn't handle losing. This made them start to argue, so I told her that if she didn't keep it up, she'd be grounded to the resort for the rest of the trip, a little over a week at this point. She decided to test me, so I stuck to my word, and she was left at the resort while the rest of us went out every day. The vacation was much more enjoyable without her turning everything into a competition, but she told her dad when she got back that we grounded her, and he's mad at me now for leaving her there and excluding her from the vacation because my husband couldn't act like an adult. I told him my daughter was warned to stop, but she decided to test me, and now he's forcing her to stick to the custody schedule. Technically, I have her every other weekend, but he was letting her go back and forth whenever she wanted, and is threatening to go to court for child support and back pay. Am I the jerk for grounding her for ruining the vacation? Look, parenting is tough, but here's the deal. You've got a competitive kid and a competitive husband, and instead of addressing the underlying issue, you chose to punish your daughter for being, well, herself. She's smart, she's competitive, and she found a way to engage with her stepdad. Maybe not in the most ideal way, but she's a kid. Your husband, on the other hand, is the adult here and should have been able to handle losing a game without it turning into a whole ordeal. Telling your daughter she can't compete or has to let him win, that's not teaching her good life lessons, it's teaching her that her skills and interests are less important than a grown man's ego, and then grounding her for the rest of the vacation for being upset about it. That's not just harsh, it's unfair. You both should have found a way to address the situation without making her feel excluded and punished for being enthusiastic about something. This was a missed opportunity to teach about healthy competition and how to lose gracefully. Before we move on, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, we got to move on to the next post. I am a babysitter to a 10-year-old with cancer. It is by far the easiest and most comfortable job I've ever had. When Ava is in the hospital, she's either napping or playing with friends. All I have to do is make her lunch, ensure she does her homework, push her IV pole when she walks, and help when she needs to use the bathroom, get her on/off the toilet. She can do the rest. When she's not in the hospital, we have a lot of fun. Her mum lets me take her anywhere or do anything with her as long as she comes back alive. There's no budget, and I get reimbursed for everything. We've gone to arcades, amusement parks, ice skating, movies, museums, etc. And I honestly love hanging out with her. On top of this, her mum spoils me. Every morning when I get to work, she asks if I've eaten. If I say no, she gives me $20 for breakfast and coffee. If I babysit at night, she gives me $1.50 to order food for myself in case I get hungry. And if I don't use it, she tells me to think of it as a bonus. This is on top of having free reign of the pantry. My suitcase was lost after a 2-week vacation, and her mum gave me $150 to buy some clothes until my suitcase was recovered. I travel with the family 3 times a year and get an all-expenses-paid trip to work too, 5 hours a day, paid at 1.5 times my normal rate, so the mum can go out with her other kids while Ava rests. I tell my sister all about this job, She recently lost her job and decided to start babysitting. She has a 5-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy and hates it. She makes less than me for more kids with more energy. She doesn't get money for food when she babysits. She doesn't get to take the kids anywhere she wants and get paid for it. She doesn't get to hang out on her phone for 3 hours a day. And the parents aren't as nice as Ava's mum. Apparently, I led her to believe that every job was going to be as comfortable as mine by always talking about it, and she blames me for her hating her job. Our mum thinks I should have told her that not every family is going to be like Ava's, and that I should have warned her that it could be hard. Am I the jerk for not warning her that not every job is like mine, and that she'd have to work if she got a babysitting job? Look, let's cut to the chase. You're not responsible for your sister's unrealistic expectation. Sure, you've got what sounds like a dream gig, especially in the babysitting world, but come on, it's common sense that not every job is a walk in the park. Your sister jumping into babysitting without doing her own research or having a realistic view of what it entails is on her, not you. It's not like you sold her a fairy tale. You just shared your own experience. Maybe next time she'll think to ask the right questions or manage her expectations better. And honestly, if she's looking to you to spell out the ABCs of job hunting or the fact that jobs vary wildly, that's a bit much. She's an adult, right? Time to act like one. Well, I could talk all day about this, but let's jump into the next post. I, 34-year-old female, am in the process of divorcing my husband, 33-year-old male. We're on good terms and still live together in my house. The house is in my name and was bought before marriage, which means my husband is not entitled to it according to my country's law. He hasn't moved out yet because of his financial issues, which I'm okay with. He just started a new job and hopes to move out in a month or 2. My mother-in-law is a nasty person, and we never got along. She never liked me and made sure I didn't feel welcome in the family. Last month, she called me on my birthday to tell me she's glad she no longer has to buy me anything for my birthday because I'm no longer family. She had recently found out we'd be getting a divorce. Yesterday, she called me. My ex was at work and didn't pick up. That's why she called me, not him, to inform me she'd be coming over for 2 days next week because she will be having a medical procedure done in our city, the capital. She does not drive, so she can't go home straight after the procedure. She was planning to spend the night and take a bus the next day. I told her absolutely no, she's no longer family, the house is mine, and I don't want random people I don't even like in my house. Neither she nor my ex can afford a hotel. He can't drive her back because of his new work. I won't, because she's no longer my problem. My ex is very angry with me and told me I shouldn't be taking out my frustrations on his mother. I'm not. I just don't want her here because I don't like her, and I don't feel like I have to put up with this anymore. We're no longer a couple. Am I the jerk? Look, you're navigating a tough situation with Grace, but let's be real here. Your house, your rules, it's that simple. You've been more than accommodating by letting your soon-to-be ex stay due to his financial issues, which already shows your generosity. Your MIL, on the other hand, has made it clear she doesn't consider you family anymore, so why should you extend family courtesies to her? It's not about taking frustrations out on her. It's about setting boundaries in your space. If she's burned bridges, she can't expect to walk back over them when it's convenient for her. Your ex being angry is understandable from a son's perspective, but he needs to see the bigger picture here. You're not a hotel service, especially not for someone who's treated you poorly. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section, and while you're there, leave a like. It's free and allows me to make more videos. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get into the next post. I really appreciate the reassurance, everyone. I'm currently working and have a lot of comments to get through. I don't hold anything against the kid. I'll talk to the landlord to give a heads up, as many of you have recommended. Hi, I really like baking as a hobby. I don't believe in food waste, but I often don't want to eat all the stuff I make. The best way I can describe it is that I love to bake, but when it comes to eating, I'm just like meh. I'm not sure how to describe it. Anyway, I normally give my baked goods to friends and family. The tradition we have started when my brother said he couldn't come over to pick up a coconut cupcake pan because he was busy. I didn't plan for space in my fridge to keep the cupcake and awkwardly left them in the apartment's common room, with permission from the security guard, of course. I left a note saying the cupcakes were free to whoever, with my apartment number on it. The security guard said I had to. That started this semi-tradition of me putting whatever extra goods I have on a free table in the lobby area. Others started to do it a little too. It has worked well so far. I like the environment it has created. The problem came when one of the neighbours knocked on my door. She introduced herself, said she's from another apartment floor and that she, in a visibly upset way, was very unhappy with me leaving unattended food out. One of her kids, allergic to peanuts, had some of my peanut butter brownies. I got very nervous hearing this and apologised. She said it was fine, but wanted me to pay part of the cost of getting her child help. I asked if we could talk it out, and she agreed. I agreed to pay for the cab she took back and forth to the hospital, which I know is getting off easy for what happened. I apologised again, and she said all was fine, but to please be extra careful. Since then, I don't leave any food out at all, because that situation made me nervous. I know it wasn't the worst that could have happened, but still. My hall neighbour, let's call her Lily, asked if I was okay, noticing that it's been a while since I put anything out. I just told her that after what happened with the peanut butter allergy issue, I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore in case something like that happened again. Now, I didn't know Lily knew who I was talking about just based on saying the allergy issue. Specifically, they knew which kid I was talking about because they saw him take some. I guess Lily spread the word around because I got a knock from the lady again, and she asked why I told everyone to blame her. I explained that I did not blame or tell anyone to blame her in any way. One of our neighbours asked why the tradition died off, and I only said because of the allergy incident, but I never mentioned specifics like who it was, how they looked, etc. She's mad and says I did that purposefully and will be speaking to the landlord to make a report. I apologised again and said, I swear I did not mean for this to happen, but she stormed off. I'm not exactly sure what to do now. I don't hold anything against her or the kid, and I'm pretty mad at Lily for this right now. Am I the jerk? Look, the heart of this issue isn't about baking or allergies. It's about responsibility and communication. First off, leaving food in a communal space comes with its own set of risks, and while your intentions were pure, the execution was flawed. It's unfortunate what happened with the child, but it's a clear sign that good intentions need to be paired with caution. Paying for the cab was a decent gesture, but let's not pat ourselves on the back too hard. The real mess here started with the gossip chain. Lily, not you, escalated the situation by spreading word without context, but you're not entirely off the hook. Describing the incident without specifics was bound to lead to assumptions and finger-pointing. In the future, a bit more discretion and a lot less. Lily might be wise, and remember, good deeds don't cancel out the need for common sense. Before we move on, let me know if you think I missed anything in the comment section below. Now, we must move on to the next post before I bore you to death. My dad is a serial cheater. He cheated on my mum a lot during their marriage, and it came to light after she was diagnosed with brain cancer 5 years ago. Mum found out when she was already terminal, and my dad's answer to this was to run away to his affair partner's house at the time, leaving me, a 16-year-old who was only 11 at the time, and my sister, a 15-year-old who was only 10, to fend for ourselves and take care of Mum. He then tried to get his way back in for my mum's last few weeks, and she somewhat gave in for our sakes because she was worried we'd hate him if she didn't. But then, when the end came, he was with his affair partner. When Mum was gone, we refused to live with Dad and his affair partner. We told Dad we were not going to let him act like nothing bad happened, and there was no way we wanted his affair partner to be our new Mum. We ran away from home to get our way, and Child Protective Services got involved and decided we should live with our maternal grandparents. But our dad was given visitation rights by the courts, so we have to see him one Saturday and one Sunday a month, but not overnight. Dad and his last affair partner were on and off for a few years. We found out one of her kids was actually his, and that kid is 6 now. She has an 8-year-old as well from the guy she was married to at the time. She had her 6-year-old. So there's messy stuff on her side too. We don't see or interact with them ever. Dad and his affair partner are now engaged, and they wanted an engagement party with family and friends. Dad insisted we had to be part of that. It happened on Saturday. Dad made us use the engagement dinner as our visitation with him, but we tried to fight against it. So we went, but we weren't happy, and during the dinner, Dad and his affair partner were talking about how excited they were to bring the family together. His affair partner was saying she was so excited to officially be our parent and to have us come closer because of it. Their immediate families know the score, but not the extended family. Their friends mostly knew, I think. They were saying how it was the most wonderful time and stuff, and then my sister and I started saying it wasn't for us, and then sarcastically said how we couldn't wait to be a family with Dad's affair partner. He was seeing all throughout our mum's cancer, and who he chose to be with when his wife was dying, leaving his daughters alone with their dying mum because he didn't even call our grandparents to tell them it was her final few hours. We also brought up how he had fathered the 6-year-old during his marriage to Mum. This led to a lot of questions, surprise and anger, the latter of which was directed at us. My dad and his affair partner were furious we made the engagement dinner uncomfortable and asked us why we'd do that. My sister said we weren't going to pretend we were happy for them or us. I said they forced us to be there, and we were clear we didn't want to be. They said we behaved like spiteful children. Am I the jerk? Oh, honey. Let's get one thing straight. Your dad and his partner are living in a fantasy if they think they can sweep their actions under the rug and expect you to play happy families. You were put in an impossible situation, forced to attend an event celebrating the very person who contributed to your family's pain. Your reaction? Completely understandable. You're not spiteful children, you're hurt and abandoned ones. Your dad's inability to see the depth of your pain and his role in it is astounding. It's not your job to cushion the blow of his actions or make his life easier by pretending everything is fine. It's his job to acknowledge the hurt he's caused and work towards making amends, not force a facade of a happy family. But we must continue on, so here's the next post. I, a 29-year-old female, was getting married to my now husband, a 32-year-old male, and my mother-in-law, who is 59, was invited to the wedding, of course. I got a strange feeling because she continued trying to pick a wedding dress for me when I had already picked one and said I did. I brushed it off, as I was excited and all. She also tried to get her son to pick a large, fancy cake that was only 20% cake. He said no, as I had told him we already made all the arrangements, including music, decorations and clothing. Fast forward the day of the wedding, we had our ceremony and everything went great. The food and service were amazing, and we had an artist draw me and my husband while we kissed. I noticed my mother-in-law was wearing a white, simple dress and didn't think much of it, even though I was a little upset. To provide context, she is the only one besides me wearing the colour. Later, when it was photo-taking time, I was going to take a photo with my husband. We stood in front of the camera, but my mother-in-law walked into the photo. I told her politely to move out a little so my husband and I could take photos with the professional first. She didn't listen and stayed in anyway, and my husband didn't say anything. Now for an update. I took one of our photos and photoshopped her out of it, as I didn't have a chance to get a photo with him alone. I posted it on my Instagram, and my mother-in-law texted me. She said, I am disrespectful and family comes first through everything, but I said that it was my wedding, and I understood that, but I wanted a photo with him alone, and she did not allow that. My husband is upset with me for acting this way, saying I'm being dramatic. Am I the jerk? Oh, honey, let's get one thing straight. Your wedding, your rules. It's as simple as that. The fact that your male decided to wear white is already a huge red flag. It's like wedding etiquette 101. But her barging into your first photo as a married couple, that's just overstepping boundaries. And your husband, well, he should have had your back. It's concerning that he didn't speak up. Photoshop? Brilliant move. It's your right to have memories of your day the way you want them. As for being called dramatic, no, you're just standing up for yourself. It's high time your husband and MIL understand that. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get into the next post. The people in this story are my best friend Jane, her brother Elliot, and his girlfriend of 2 years, Kathy. Jane is marrying her fiancé Tom in July, and she asked me to be her maid of honour. This was sort of expected, as Jane is essentially a sister to me. I was surprised, however, that she asked her brother's girlfriend, Kathy, to be a bridesmaid. Jane later confided that Kathy had kind of pressured her into it, and she had done it to make Elliot happy. The issue is, Kathy hates me, like seriously hates me. She blames me for all the issues she has with Elliot and Jane's parents, and for her not having a better friendship with Jane. She also thinks I am trying to steal Elliot from her. I'm not, but also cannot handle whenever he and I disagree on anything and will go way overboard defending him and arguing with me. I was determined to put this all aside for Jane, though. This was actually not going too badly, but last weekend we went to a bridal shop to choose bridesmaid dresses. Jane mentioned that she wanted me and Elliot to walk down the aisle together, and Kathy lost it. She called me desperate, crazy, a pick-me, a fake, fat, and a bunch of other things. Looking back, I probably should have said more than I did, but at that moment I could see how everyone was looking at her, and I didn't want them looking at me the same way, so I literally just said, yeah, I'm not dealing with this. Either she's out or I am, and picked my stuff up and left. I apologised to Jane for the drama and offered her a long weekend of babysitting and some flowers to make up for it, and she accepted, so we're okay now. Because of this, Jane has said that Kathy can't be a bridesmaid anymore because she wants me as maid of honour. This has caused the issues with Kathy, and Elliot by extension. Both Elliot and Kathy have apologised and said Kathy will behave better for all the wedding events, but I'm not willing to budge. Jane's mother and my mother both think I should drop the ultimatum, and I don't want to make things hard on Jane, so I'm rethinking. But I know there are other things she will try to cause issues with me over, and I just don't know how long I can keep being the bigger person with her. So am I the antagonist for causing this drama? Look, weddings are stressful enough without adding a layer of high school drama to the mix. Kathy's behaviour was out of line, period. It's not about being the bigger person, it's about setting boundaries for what you will and will not tolerate. You offered an olive branch to Jane, which shows where your priorities lie. Kathy's apology, while necessary, doesn't erase the behaviour or guarantee a change in the future. It's Jane's wedding, and ultimately she wants you there, drama-free. Your ultimatum came from a place of wanting to protect your peace and the sanctity of Jane's big day. It's not about making things hard for Jane, it's about ensuring her wedding isn't overshadowed by unnecessary conflict. Stick to your guns. If Kathy truly respects the relationship and the occasion, she'll understand and adjust her behaviour accordingly. Before we move on, leave a like if you're enjoying the video. Now, we must move on to the next post before I bore you to death.